Hello and welcome to this Hurricane Milton update. It is 9:20 p.m. October the 8th, 2024, as Milton, after weakening a little bit with a little bit of an interaction with the Yucatan down to a Category 4, it is back to Category 5 strength. It's kind of interesting. You have this feature that's ahead of it, too, but look at this buzzsaw. That is that's a term we use for hurricanes that look like this. That eye is perfect. It's actually looks like it's perfectly clear in that eye, and you can see all around it the ring of hell that surrounds it. It is a small, relatively smallish kind of looking storm. At least that's the only positive thing I can say about it, is that it's not a big storm in area. So it's not as big as Helene was, but still a frightening storm as it takes aim toward Tampa. And let's go to the latest from the National Hurricane Center on Milton. Let's get the latest public advisory here. Milton will bring life-threatening storm surge and winds to portions of the Florida Gulf Coast. 7 p.m. Its location, 23.0 north, 86.9 west, about 230 miles west-southwest of the dry Tortugas, and about 440 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida. Maximum sustained winds are up to 165 miles an hour. It's moving east-northeast at 10 miles an hour. The minimum central pressure, here we go again with these really low pressures, 902 millibars, 26.64 inches. And so there is a northeastward motion with some increase in forward speed is expected tonight through early Thursday. A turn toward the east-northeast and east is expected on Thursday and Friday. On this forecast track, the center of Milton will move across the eastern Gulf of Mexico tonight and Wednesday and make landfall along the west-central coast of Florida Wednesday night and move off the east coast of Florida over the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday. And again, reports from the Air Force and NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate that the maximum sustained winds are near 165 miles an hour with higher gusts. Milton is a Category 5 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Fluctuations in intensity are likely while Milton moves across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But Milton is expected to be a dangerous major hurricane when it reaches the west-central coast of Florida Wednesday night. Hurricane force winds, the only positive about this storm is it's not a big storm in the area. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 30 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 140 miles from the center. And again, that minimum central pressure, not many hurricanes get this deep, 902 millibars, 26.64 inches if you had a barometer at home. This is below that what that barometer could even display. That's how deep this storm is. So let's look at the track forecast again. I know they nudged it a little bit to the south, so here's the warning cone. And you see that they've nudged it just a little bit to the south now of Tampa. Maybe not going directly over Tampa or the eye. Tampa maybe gets stuck in the eye wall, which may actually wind up being a worse situation. But you can see a major hurricane all throughout. And most of Florida now under a hurricane warning. So let's go and look at the weather and hazards map now. And I know they had a map of all the warnings on here, and we couldn't. And also, this kind of shows you the flash flooding potential here. Very high in the Tampa Bay and Orlando area. The good news is that there are a lot of people evacuating. Here's the storm surge forecast that they have. I wish they would put that. I wish clicking on it would make it larger, but we'll have to go to this here. You can see that 10 to 15-foot storm surge here. Tampa, well, this is where it's going to be at its worst, but still the whole Gulf Coast is going to see. And this is an area that got affected by Helene. So quite significantly, and they haven't even finished cleaning up, so that's why this is so devastating. Also, effects will be felt on the east coast as well of Florida as well, mostly from Palm Beach northward on the as far as storm surge flooding goes. If we look at our rainfall total, you can see the amounts that are being forecast here. A foot of rain possible in some of these areas. That's an amazing amount of rain in a low-lying area. The ground is going to saturate. Florida is basically... Florida is worse than Long Island because Florida is basically flat. There are no hills. Long Island has hills. Florida is flat. There are no hills. The ground is soft, and it's basically a big sandbar. Is what it is. Long Island actually has rock on it. but we have bedrock. But Florida does not have that, and they're going to be it's going to be really, really bad here, really bad in Florida, for sure. Warnings. All right, I don't think they used to have. I don't know. I saw a warning map where they actually showed the map of the warnings, but let's go to the weather and hazards map because this will show you here almost all of Florida here under that hurricane warning here. Hurricane warning. All the bright pink. This is this whole area here, and then south of that is a tropical storm warning. So the whole state of Florida is under some kind of warning here. And on top of that, we also have to watch out for severe thunderstorms as well. Actually, that's a tropical storm watch, but there will be severe thunderstorms also with this because of its interaction with land. We see this all the time where there are going to be tornadic thunderstorms with this as well. So Milton, a monster. Let's take a look at the other satellite image here. Take a look at this thing. Yeah, it's not large, but it's very strong. And then you have this other piece. It's very interesting that you have this other piece of convection here. It almost looks like it's trying to become something. It just shows you how warm the water is here. And honestly, I don't see this whole thing weakening all that much by the time it makes landfall. Look at that hurricane. The satellite presentation is just something else. And then you have, again, this breakaway area here, which is, again, really, really interesting. Really interesting. And there's some heavy rain in this, too. If we go back to the satellite image, and I'm going to put this back onto the southeast now. Or actually, we have a Gulf of Mexico, I think, one. Or we can do southeast. Because I think that it's going to show up on here now. Let's see. No, not quite. We got to go to Gulf of Mexico, then tropical. Should be a Gulf of Mexico one here. Where is it? I know we saw a Gulf of Mexico one. Here it is, Caribbean. Gulf of Mexico. There is Milton right there. So, again, just put this into a 72-hour loop here so you can see how it's strengthened. This might be too long of a loop. Let's do 48 frames. Let's see, I just want to get it as the sun out. As the sun's going down. Yeah. So you can see here. Look at that. Look at the structure on that thing. I mean, that's a perfect donut buzzsaw type of hurricane there. It's coming. Look at that thing. That's just, man, that is incredible. And there's probably a lot of lightning going on in this other band that's developing here. Look at that. Look at that. It's cloud tops. I'm going to put this on the lightning. You see, there's actually lightning in the center of it, too, which means it's strengthening. But you see that other little, I don't even know what to call that. It's very disturbing to see that. Like an extra area of rain that's going to be coming into Florida. So that's going to be setting the stage for pre-game rain. Yeah, there's a ton of lightning with that. A ton. Absolute ton. And there's a lot of lightning in the center of it, too. Look at all that lightning. That's a really rapidly strengthening situation. So we have a very, very bad situation that's going to be unfolding in Florida. I want to go look at the radars as well. So let's go to the AccuWeather radar here. So 1 million evacuate. Gas shortages are being reported. And I was watching the Joe Weather Show last night, and Joe Rayo actually is disgusted with what's going on. There's a lot of misinformation, and unfortunately, the Florida governor is refusing to get on the phone with the president of the United States. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, but this is the rain that's coming in right now. So you see some of the heavier rain. There's some of this is being guessed. All right, but we can look at the radar from. Let's look at the radar from Tampa. I'll go and change it to the radar from Tampa. Let's see if we can get the. Let's change. Obviously, I'm going to just go over the radar here because they're going to show the radar here, and you can see the rain already that's falling, and there's more rain offshore. So if we'll go south. So go there. Tampa Bay area. There's two of them here. All right, let's go further south. I want to get. Yeah, you can see the kind of convection that's going on here. They're showing the radar here. So you have a lot of thunderstorms now off Key. I'm sure there's one hell of a lightning show if you're in Key West right now, if you're looking off to the northeast there, with all those thunderstorms going. But this is, again, a very dangerous situation. And we are going to look at some more information on Milton. I just want to just briefly touch on our weather. Last night we did actually have an aurora visible. I did a separate video on that. Unfortunately, this is the best view I could get. It was 1 in the morning, all right? I didn't feel like going all the way over to the parking garage. If I lived somewhere with a little more of an open space, or it wasn't so far away, I would have tried to get a better view. But you could see the reddish glow from the aurora. There's actually some green below it too as well. I didn't have enough of a viewpoint, but there you go. That's the red, the glow there of the aurora. That red glow there. Luckily, that red glow, which looks a lot like a certain baseball team's color, but luckily the Mets, we just beat the Phillies tonight, we creamed them. So we just kept piling on the runs, and that was great. I forgot the sports and the weather update, but just let's go Mets. Hopefully we can end it tomorrow and send the Phillies back where they belong, back to Philadelphia tomorrow. But anyway, let's look at some. So today turned out to be a pretty nice day. I'll just briefly show you. We had clear skies, a few clouds toward the afternoon. There's some nice fall colors that are now popping up along the lakes. And then we had some cirrus come in a little bit later. So again, look at those nice fall colors that we had. Really nice. And that's all starting now. Luckily for us, we have very beautiful weather while they're suffering in the southeast. I'm sure a lot of people are second-guessing moving to Florida. You can see the sky. We had a little mix of cirrus there. Really pretty skies. Real pretty skies. And then I thought I had one more in here, but I guess not. I know the sunset was something else. So look at the sunset. It's the dusk. So there you go. That's what it looks like. Let's get back to talking about, just briefly touch on our weather again. Islip had a high of 69, low of 47. Near normal for the day. The high was 2 degrees above normal. The low was 3 degrees below normal. So it was a cool night. I did manage to get off the air conditioner off, but it wasn't that cool in here, I'll tell you. It didn't start cooling off until like the wee hours of the morning. We'll just briefly go over our highs and lows for the day. Highs generally are close to 70 on Long Island, so a little bit slightly above normal. And the lows, West Hampton got down to 39, but other than that, lows were in the 40s, 50s if you were in an urbanized area like lucky me. So let's get back to talking about Milton here. And looking at some of these observations here. Let's get some observations out here. There aren't a whole lot of buoys here. Let's see what this one has. This is not showing any wave heights. Let's see if this one is. That one is not showing wave heights either. So a lot of these aren't showing wave heights. Let's see, maybe this one does. Nope. No wave heights, no water temperatures either on that one. But this is the area it's going to be traveling over, so it looks like we don't have any buoys here. You think we'd have a lot more buoys. You know, you think they'd invest in them. All right, this one is reporting a wave height of 5.2 feet. That's going to get a lot worse. We think they'd invest in them. But let's go back to Tropical Tidbits and look at some of the models here on Milton. And I know we have that other storm out there, but I'm not even going to focus on those. They're not hitting land. Leslie, it's not hitting land, so I'm not going to really focus on that. We got to talk about Milton. Okay, let's go to the spaghetti models. And you can see it looks like it holds it together. Look at how far it holds it together, too. Yeah, it's going to be over warm water. It crosses Florida, but it's not going to go away. Now the models are thinking, the models were all too quick to dissipate it in that trough. But that's not what's going to happen. You see the tracks have shifted further to the south now, you notice. So Tampa is no longer in the center of this storm. Now it's kind of shifting a little further to the south, but it's still going to be, I mean, the storm is probably going to grow in size as it moves north and interacts a little bit with the upper air changes. So it's not time to breathe a sigh of relief at Tampa. But if you're a little further south now, you're going to have to watch out now. You can see this, all this is just really just going right over the center of Florida. So now it's shifting to the south. That trough not as strong as because that trough isn't as strong, it's not going to pick it up as far. Here's your intensity guides. A number of the models keep it strong the whole way through, so a lot of them take it down after landfall because it will be landfalling, but some of them don't weaken it all that much even after it crosses Florida. You got to remember, Florida is flat, it's moist, it's not something that's going to really break up a hurricane really quickly. It's very flat, Florida. The most of the peninsula is. This is why sea level rise you're going to have Florida. There was a time when Florida was underwater. I mean, and it could be underwater again eventually. Anyway, now that we looked at that, let's go to the models on tropical tidbits and look and see what we got. So we'll go to the GFS here. We kind of showed you everything going on, but let's go back to that 500, the upper air here, and you see there's that trough, and you can see it kind of just, it just nudges it north. It nudges it, but the nudge isn't as strong, so that's why it's kind of taking aim at the center, and then it's just too quick to dissipate it. I don't know why the models want to do that, but you can see they're just too quick to kind of just dissipate it. It's not going to dissipate when it moves across Florida. It's not going to just go away. This is the European. Euro seems to hold it together a little more. All right. So, but for us, I went over our weather already. We're gonna have a nice weather while they're suffering over there. And let's go to the southeast view now and look at the European on the surface. We'll first start with the European here. And again, you can see there's that breakaway area too, which kind of shows up. You can see though. Again, the model's way off with the pressure. The pressure is way deeper than that. But you notice it strengthens. Just pay attention to the fact it's actually strengthening. So that's why I really think, and the Euro still has it look like it has the eye going right over Tampa. And then it's got something else developing over here too. But the European model has it strengthening. So that's the key. That's why I honestly think there's a very good chance this is going to landfall as a Category 5. I honestly think that. Some people are saying, oh, there's some cooler water here that Helene stirred up, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And honestly, I think it's going to keep on strengthening until it gets to Tampa. When it moves over Florida, it's going to weaken, but not by that much. The European keeps it pretty strong there, and then finally kind of weakens it a little bit. You can see, actually, the European is slowing it down a little bit now. So the European has it making the landfall in the wee hours of Thursday morning now. European is slowing it down. And then it's going to actually take all day Thursday to cross the peninsula. It doesn't have it moving all that fast, which means there's going to be more rain and more wind damage in there. Total rainfall, let's look at that. Total accumulated precip on the European, again, showing over a foot or more in a lot of areas. Has the southern part not getting hit as hard, but that northern part, definitely central and northern, getting a lot of flooding rain. Look at the wind field too on this. This is the European on the wind field, and again, it's really compact. It's a very compact storm. You can see that the wind field, it may get a little bit bigger, but I don't think it's going to get that much bigger. It won't be the same kind of size that Helene was, but it's still going to be devastating because of where it's heading. You can see, look at that wind field there, really, and you can see it actually, it holds it together even as it moves to the east too, which is pretty interesting. That's the European, and one more thing, we're going to look at the wave height here because this is the other thing, the devastating storm surge. You can kind of visualize it right here, slamming right into Tampa and St. Petersburg, and then it actually reemerges out over the ocean again. If you're in the Bahamas will probably miss this. Probably going to go just to the north of the Bahamas. But this is going to really be a big mess. So now that we looked at the European, let's kind of shift over to the GFS. And go back to the precipitation. Look at the precipitation and radar views, but I think the trends are pretty much the same. So I don't know. These models haven't shifted it further south. They still have it going over Tampa. Maybe a little bit south, but not enough to get Tampa out of the worst of this storm. They're going to deal with the eye wall there. And that eye wall, again, this is way deeper than the models say. But you notice the trend that the model strengthens it on the way. Strengthens it, and that's why I think it's going to landfall as a Category 5 storm in Tampa. I really do think so. That's my prediction. I'm saying that right now. So we'll see exactly what happens. But honestly, that trough is just too far to the north, and that shear is too far to the north to really mess it up too much. It will weaken it. The GFS obviously weakens it quicker as it crosses Florida. Could also look at this on the radar view as well. There's the radar view. You can see most of the rain is going to be on the center and north side of the storm. That's usually what happens when hurricanes interact with land. But you can see that is going to be pretty bad for sure. And we'll look at the wind field, obviously, as well. See if the GFS, the size of the wind field is. GFS has a little bit of a larger sized wind field. Actually makes it a little larger as it gets closer to Tampa, which is not good. And then, yeah, so this is not a good situation at all. This area, this is going to be a major disaster. Look at this. This is again, and the GFS timing on the GFS is a little slower now, a little more in line with the Euro. So this isn't going to be so much Wednesday night. It's going to start Wednesday night, but it's really the worst of it's going to occur, I think, after midnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. GFS a little quicker with getting it moving across Florida. Let's look now at the NAM. That is the next one we're going to look at here. We have the NAM 3 as well. And, of course, the NAM is always the frightening model here to look at because this is just... The NAM is actually a little closer to reality, to tell you the truth, with those pressures. But look at those winds. And it just has it going right over Tampa. That's a Category 5 hurricane right there. Right across. That's the NAM. And again, these are the 18s. This is the 18Z run here of the NAM. You can see it actually makes the wind field a little bit bigger as well. It may come up just before it gets to Tampa, but honestly, it's going to be at least a good, strong Category 4 hurricane. But I still think there's a good chance it's going to be a Category 5, and I still think it's going to landfall as a Category 5. Or close to it. And then you can see it staying. It stays intact even after it crosses Florida. NAM rainfall. Let's look at that. Yep. There's going to be a stripe of a foot or more of rain. Perhaps maybe 2 feet of rain. This on top of the storm surge is going to this is why people have to evacuate and I'm glad they are, because it's not a survivable situation if you're caught in this storm. It's not at all. If you're in a house, you've got to, I mean, there's storm chasers, I'm sure they're going to be there, but it's going to be tough for even them to really cover this. Or they're going to have to pick somewhere where they can cover it safely. So, yeah, this is going to be a really bad situation. So that's the NAM. Now, I think we have enough of the HRRR in. We have 37 frames of the HRRR in. So let's look at that one. So here's the HRRR, and you can see, again, that heavy rain again. It's deeper than the model shows. HRRR actually slows it down. HRRR is faster at the onset, but then it slows it down a little bit. You can see it making that landfall right around Tampa there. HRRR seems a little bit faster than the Euro. So we still have some minor changes in the models. The timing is the worst. Could hit Tampa earlier, or could it? Generally, think. And again, you're going to be dealing with that rain starting tomorrow. That rain is going to be falling. So now, total accumulated precip on the HRRR. Again, you have that belt of close to a foot of rain right there. So we're going to look at some of the hurricane models now. Let's go and look at that. We'll, again, go to the HWRF. And these follow the storm, by the way. So I'll give you an idea of this. So this is the wind. We're looking at the wind model here on this. So you can see it's the HWRF that tends to weaken it a little bit, but I don't know if it still is going right in over Tampa. That's Tampa right there. Yeah, so that's the HWRF right there. We can shift this over to precipitation, radar, and MSLP as well. So this kind of follows the storm here. You can see it does weaken. So this model is the one that seems to want to bring the pressure up. Let's go to the GFS. This is this is what's going to track Milton here. GFS does not quite do that. I want to look at the European. This is the Euro. Yeah, okay, it goes from 953, it stays 953, it doesn't really weaken until it gets inland. So that's the point. And I think the Euro has the right idea here. I'm not buying that HWRF at all. That's why I don't look at it that much. Does this show Winfield or... Yeah. I don't know why it's not showing as intense as the other one. That's why I don't usually use this particular one where it follows the storm. It's easier for me just to use a static one. But let's go. I'm going to close this now. We're going to go to Ventusky. It's another way we can visualize how this storm here is going to turn out. So this, again, is Milton. This is the Icon plus HRRR model. All right. Obviously, it's underestimating it already. It's way stronger than what this is saying on the wind gusts. We know that already. But let's take this to 4 o'clock tomorrow. And you can see the area of stronger winds actually gets bigger. This is, again, the HRRR plus... I think it's using... What model is it using? HRRR plus Icon. So, this is using the HRRR plus Icon. Right, so here we are, 8 o'clock. Tampa is starting to get into it, 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock. It's starting to really hit St. Petersburg. Here's Tampa over here. 9 o'clock. It's still, this is, again, at 11 o'clock. Tampa is over here. We're going to move this to midnight. So it looks like it would be making a landfall around midnight, according to this. You can see the very strong winds that are going to be lashing Tampa here. And that wind is going to just push that water. That storm surge is going to be devastating. So this one does take it a little bit further to the south of Tampa. The eye goes over Sarasota, and Tampa stays in the eye wall the whole time. You can see the kind of really strong winds that you're going to be getting on the back side of this thing. Is going to be just something. So let's go to the sea. This is the other thing that we look at. Look at these wave heights here, 21 feet. So this is the kind of storm surge you're going to be dealing with. All right. Let's now switch this over to windy, which I actually prefer using windy. Using your model. By the way, this over here is, I think that's, what is this? What's this? Leslie? Which one is which? What's this? This is Leslie over here. That's what is this? What is this one over here? Let me go back to the NHC for a minute. There's another one over there. All right, they don't even have that on there. That's Kirk. One of those. There's another storm out there. I don't know, he's showing up on here. I don't know what this is. Okay, let's go to Modus and see if we can figure out what that storm is, and then we'll get right back to Milton. But yeah, that's not a tropical system, but this is. I'm trying to find Kirk. All right, this is Kirk. I think this is what's left of Kirk, obviously. So You get Kirk here. Kirk is going to be heading for, it looks like, Spain. The remnants of that. And these are just sustained winds over here that we're dealing with. If I put this to wind gusts, I'm going to get some pretty strong wind gusts over there. Yeah, you got some pretty strong wind gusts. So this is Kirk over here. So this is what's, it looks like it's going to be affecting Spain and maybe France. This, again, is Leslie. Pay attention to Leslie. This is Kirk. So here we are. Let's go and move this ahead here. And see, watch this thing take aim here at Tampa. And again, these are the wind gusts in here. That white area. Heading right for Tampa. Here we are. So this is the Euro, so it's slower. It's 5 a.m. It has it coming more like 5, 7 a.m. And right over Sarasota, right in that area right there. Euro's a little slower than some of the other models. It has it making more of a Thursday morning landfall, as you see there. But this area would be devastated. And again, we can look at the wave heights as well. We'll go to the wave heights. Let's find that here. So here are the waves, and I mean, this is just going to be incredible. The amount of the kind of waves that this thing is going to produce as it makes its way in. This is going to be a devastating disaster, and I just hope people just got out of there. Don't decide to stay, because those people who stay are literally taking a real risk here. And I mean, some really, even on the East Coast, you're going to be dealing with some pretty decent waves heights, and we may even see some of the effects of this. All these storms over here. I mean, look at how rough the ocean is in general. And yeah, there is an emerging out over the ocean again. You see here. And I'm wondering what kind of effects that's going to have. So we'll have to see what happens with that, the remnants of that. Now, Kirk, we'll go back over to wind gusts. Just talking a little bit about Kirk here and what that's going to do. This over here. It looks like it's going to hit part of France. Yeah, they're going to have some pretty strong wind gusts there when this thing comes on. And we go back to the waves. They probably have some decent waves too from it as well. Yeah, Bordeaux, 13 foot. So it's, yeah. Look at these rough surf for Spain. They're going to be dealing with some pretty bad waves too. I don't know. In Portugal, I don't know what their coastline is like. I think it's rugged, but if there are low-lying areas there could be flooding. But again, I focused on Milton right now at this moment. This is what we're going to be focusing on, all right? Because from now until landfall Thursday morning, we're going to look at some different models here. Let's move this over to the NAM, which we know how frightening the NAM is. We might as well. But the NAM is actually the most realistic, I think. Even then, it's underdoing the winds, I think. But this is the NAM here, and you can see it gets larger as it gets closer. And that landfall is going to be, again, this is the NAM taking it in around 2 in the morning. See, I'm showing you this for the timing. There's that white. That's the eye wall going right over Tampa, the Tampa Bay area right there. That's devastating right there, all right? That's the timing on the NAM. Let's shift this off now to the GFS. GFS, of course, 2 week, and the timing is definitely different. Timing GFS is faster. 10 has it making a landfall more like 10. I think it's going to landfall in the wee hours of the morning. All right, after midnight. HRRR. This is the HRRR. All right. That landfall is right around midnight on the HRRR. So that's when I think it's going to make that landfall. So there's still some variables here. But we do know that in this whole area, Tampa, Sarasota, Lakeland, Orlando, St. Cloud, even on the east coast of the Daytona Beach, but especially Orlando, between Orlando and Tampa, there's going to be so much destruction here. It's going to be absolutely catastrophic for this area. with a storm like this. And again, these models are underdoing it. Let me remind you of that. Again, the European, I think, is the Euro doesn't really show the eye because it doesn't have the resolution to show the eye. The NAM does. That's why I kind of like the NAM, because it has the resolution to show the eye, and that's well defined. And honestly, I think the NAM is actually going to be pretty close to what we're going to see here. So you see 1 a.m. That eye wall is lashing Tampa right now. The city of Tampa is not getting the eye wall yet. This is 1 a.m. It's in the outer edge of it, but then about an hour later, this only goes in, I don't know how many blocks this goes. An hour later, 2, 3 in the morning, then the eye wall are going to move in. And when that happens, I expect this whole area to be completely blacked out. I don't think there's any power grid that's going to be able to withstand gusts over 100 miles an hour. It's going to knock everything down. And then you're going to also have the flooding, too. So think about it. You have concrete pylons and soft soil. If there's a lot of flooding, they may even come down. So this is a storm that's going to destroy this area. It's a shame. It's a beautiful area. But this is what we deal with, what we have right now. And this is going to be like an Andrew type storm, but going over. Andrew went south of Miami. This is going to go right over a big city. And I really hope everybody got out of Tampa and all these areas over here. Nobody should be staying there. Nobody should be staying there. It should be mandatory. I don't know if the city of Tampa is completely evacuated. So now what I'm going to go is I'm going to go to the city of Tampa website and see if they've completely evacuated the city or it's just part of the city. Let's see what they have. All right, let's see. Declaring a state of emergency, executive order. Let's see. Evacuation orders for evacuation orders A and B. So these are the zones that they have for Tampa right now. Let's see. Level 1 full evacuation. Let's see if we have A, B. Let's see what those zones are. I don't know. Okay, so this is A, B. All right, so these are the colors that they have here. I don't know what zone is or what here. What's A and what's B here? Where's the legend? Let's see. Where's the legend? We need the legend here. No, I need the legend. Legend, thank you. All right, A and B. So it's the red and the orange that are being evacuated. That's a mistake. The whole city should be evacuated. Nobody should be there. Let's make this larger again. You think we can make that map larger, please? Imagine you're trying to figure out what you need to do, and this freaking site just doesn't even want to work properly. I mean, really? All right, here we go. This is, you'll open this in a new big window. So it's the red and the orange areas that are being evacuated here. Right? This is Tampa right here. So, but this part of the city is blue, and that's not going to be evacuated. The whole city should be evacuated because, yeah, this is the flooding, but the winds and the freshwater flooding, and the city is not going to have power. It's not going to have water. It's going to be like New Orleans after Katrina. Nobody should be left in that city. Everybody should be out of there. That's the way I feel. Same thing for, this is not on the map, but this whole area here, St. Petersburg, the same thing. I hope that whole city is evacuated. Let's look at St. Petersburg and see if they've evacuated their whole city, because they don't even have anything on the website. Let's prepare St. Pete. So nothing about a mandatory evacuation for the entire city. I'm sorry, but they should be completely evacuating these places. There's going to be a tremendous death toll because they didn't evacuate the whole city. The people are going to die after the storm because they're going to be trapped with no power, no water, and no water. I mean, that we saw what happened with Helene. The utilities are going to be done for. All right, all of them. All right. I just want to do one more thing here. Go to maps, and we're going to go to Tampa, and I just want to show you the infrastructure that they have there, so it can show you what is probably going to fail. All right. I'm mainly focused on the power infrastructure here. But let's see. All right, we have a substation over here. So let's show you what their transmission system looks like here and kind of give you an idea here. So these are the substations here. And again, these areas, they're low lying. You got water here. The substations might flood if they're not elevated. I hope they are elevated. I can't tell from this map. But you see, without power, you don't have... No power means no water, nothing, no services. So the power is going to be out everywhere. I don't see any power grid being able to withstand this type of storm. And that's why I keep harping on this whole thing with the power, because honestly, I think that's not even the circuit I wanted to show you. There were a couple of other things that they had in there that I try to find here. I don't really feel like pausing the video to show you. But they have, we can look over here. Just to show you what their stuff looks like here. Let's see if we get, yeah, they have some of these, yeah, there's still a few of these. That looks like a wooden H-frame there. So they still got a few of these wooden H-frames. Yeah, that's a steel and concrete one, but that one over there, yeah, that's still wood one. It's still got the cross beam. This stuff is coming down, and in the lattice too. I don't think that's going to be able to take it too. So you're going to have tremendous damage here in this area. This is not an area you want to be sticking around. There's not going to be power, and the power is going to be out for weeks, if not. It's going to take a very long time to get the power back on. And just because you're in the middle of the city, this is the area that's not being evacuated, obviously. We're looking at, I mean, these are areas that are going to have no power, no water, nothing, all right? And, yeah, the power lines are above ground over here. So this is the power line here. And you see there's some wood poles here. So, yeah, here's a wood pole right here. So this stuff's going to come right down. This is going to come right down, I'm telling you. So, Tampa does not have the hardened utility like further south. A lot of their utilities are not as robust as further south. And they got a lot of wood. If you're in Miami, you don't see any of that. But here, if you're in Miami and Palm Beach, it's almost all metal. But here, it definitely is. The infrastructure is not up to the task. And you're going to have big problems. Big problems. And again, they like those H-frames. Which, again, they cannot be using those things. Let's see if these are steel. The electric company here is not Florida Power and Light. It's Tampa Electric, so it's not FPL. So these look somewhat hardened, but compared to FPL stuff, FPL is better. This is Tampa Electric. Another wood pole over here. I mean, they should not be using wood at all for anything in this area. But even the concrete, I mean, this is going to be tough. Here's another wooden pole right here. See the, so they got a lot of these wooden H-frames around. They are going to fail, and they're going to take a lot of customers with them, which is not a good situation. So, see if I can show you a little more, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. Yeah, let's see if we can show you some more. I think that's another wooden H-frame over there. So just to show you that they even have some wood transmission lines as well. No, these might have actually been replaced. These look like these were upgraded. So maybe they upgraded it since the street view. I'm hoping they did. But anyway, just showing you what kind of setup you have in this area. And this is Tampa is a big city. A lot of people live here. And there are going to be a lot of roads cut off and stuff. Let's look at the traffic here. This kind of shows you the traffic. I don't see any big traffic jams. I know I saw that on the news, but I'm not seeing it now. So maybe that's a good sign and people got out. I'm really hoping they did. And even if you're further inland in Orlando, you're going to have problems too. Power's going to be out everywhere. So just count on no power. If you're staying behind here, count on no power for at least a week, if not a month. Or it's going to take they're going to have to. You saw what Helene did to the power grid, and this is going to be a stronger hurricane when it makes landfall here, because Helene did weaken when it got inland because it moved fast, and it was also in. I mean, it weakened, but it has a. This is the area that it hit is more lightly populated. This is a heavily populated area, so I'm really concerned about this whole area here. You see all these little lakes and stuff, which indicates that the water table it's all very low-lying areas. So this is the issue. There are no hills in Florida, no mountains. There's nothing. This storm is going to go over this area, and it's pretty much a brown ocean event, and that's why it's not going to really weaken as much as you would think. And I still think when it reemerges on the other side, it could still be a Category 2 hurricane, maybe even a Category 3. So anyway, let's just lastly go to the National Hurricane Center one more time and let's see if there's any new information on Milton here. While we've done this update, I don't think there is any. The bulletin was at 7 p.m. They usually do have an intermediate at 10, so that's what I was hoping maybe they would have another update, but I don't see that information here. So that's going to wrap up this video here, and again, I will keep you updated on Milton tomorrow night as we watch this next terrible disaster about to unfold, and I really hope and pray people got out. I hope everybody got out of there. The only people that should be staying behind are the first responders and the media that's covering it. Everybody else should be out of there. There's no reason to be in Tampa or Orlando unless you want to fight for your life in a destroyed city, because that's what's going to be happening tomorrow night. Have a good night.